Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how I set up my September update spread in my fall bucket list. So the first thing I did was, on a separate piece of watercolor paper, I measured out the size that I wanted for my bucket list so that it would fit into my bullet journal. I then began by watercoloring a kind of fall leaf print along the top. To do this, I used a lot of warm colors like reds and browns, oranges, and just continued this pattern all the way down the page until I got it to a point where I liked it. When that had dried, I used my Tombow calligraphy pen and just wrote fall bucket list across the top where I had watercolored that last part. I then made a list of everything that I wanted to do this fall and just wrote that down the page with my Pilot G2 pen. When I had finished with my list, I went ahead and added some more watercolor floral print down to the bottom just to balance it out. And I used the same colors as I did for the top and pretty much the same print too. And to finish, I took my white pen and outlined the title at the top. Okay, and when that was done, I was ready to begin working on the other side of my spread. So I went ahead and began watercoloring the top and the bottom, just using the same colors that I had for my fall bucket list. And to do this, I just continued to add colors on top of each other and create more layers until I was happy with the finished look. Next, using some brown craft paper, I wrote out the word September and outlined that with my white pen. And this is going to be the title of my September updates side of the page. So I went ahead and cut that out and decided to give it a white border as well, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Then, to make sure that everything was balanced, and since I didn't have a lot of brown on my fall bucket list page, I used that same craft paper and added it to the bottom corner and the upper right corner. Next, I began adding all of the details to my page. So one thing that I do a lot in my bullet journal spreads is use the frame for my instant camera Polaroids. And what I usually do is, when a picture doesn't develop well or you can't really see what the picture's of, I'll cut it out and use that frame in my spreads. I started doing this because the film for these cameras isn't cheap, so I wanted to find a way to reuse them, and I thought this would be kind of a fun idea. So here I'm just laying everything out and gluing it into my spread. I then began writing down my September updates, so just kind of filling in what I did for the month, any events, or anything like that. Between each of the days, I also added a little bit of like a floral print detail just to make sure that the days were separated and everything didn't run together too much. So as I worked through my spread, I also continued to add details into it. So I added in this leaf that I got outside that I thought matched the spread nicely. I used a light color Tombow and added in the same fall print that I used on my bucket page list too. I didn't really have too much go on this month, so I decided to add my current favorite songs that I've been loving lately. My G2 pen tends to smear a lot when I use it, so you'll see me clean that up with the Tombow and then kind of go back over that to fill in that color again. Inside my Polaroid cutout, I added a quote that I liked, and on the parts that overlapped onto the brown craft paper, I used a white pen to outline that to make it stand out more too. Now it's time to add in the finishing details to this side of the spread. So using that same fall leaf pattern, I used both a fine liner in black and then a white pen to fill in any places on this side of the spread that needed a little bit more details. After finishing that side of the spread, I felt like it needed to be a little bit more balanced on the side of my fall bucket list. So I took that same brown craft paper and the fall leaf print that I was using and put that on top. So that completed my spread, and I was really happy with the way that everything turned out. I'm hoping that by creating a fall bucket list, it'll help me to kind of get out and do more fall things so that I can check them off my list too. And if you guys have any ideas for things that I should add to my bucket list, feel free to let me know. And also, if you have any suggestions or requests for any future videos, feel free to let me know as well. And I'll see you in my next video.